guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to tell you about why I started the blog. As I mentioned in my previous video, I just wanted to give you a little bit of context of how that came about, and then I will do parts of explaining the things I talked today about, because it's such a long story, I can't all put it in one video. So first of all, I just love writing. I love to write about my own experiences, insights I learned over the years. I think that every writer, of course, puts its own experiences in their work. And I also like poetry. I like writing poetry, but I'm not sure I'm any good at it. I used to post things on Facebook, and I noticed that my friends and other people liked what I wrote. And that's actually how it came about, because I know I really like to write, and people just told me that I should try it, so I did. That's how I came to writing about the blog, but specifically about mental health. Is something that not a lot of blogs talk about, I've noticed, and I thought that it was a really important matter to discuss, because I feel it's like still a taboo in a lot of cultures, even in the Western culture, people don't understand a lot of mental illnesses and disorders and stuff. So I felt the need to talk about it, and also mention that in my own culture, I'm from the Middle East, it's a really big taboo that you can't talk about your mental health. Anything you want to talk about, let's say about your physical problems, or even like really big physical things you wouldn't normally talk about, it's still fine. But when you just say something so small about your mental health, then people will think you're crazy. And that's a mentality I can't afford to listen to. It's just so crazy to think that people don't understand that the self and the soul is so important to the rest of your health and the rest of your life. So I hope that this also gives more insight and maybe change some minds about mental health, and how people perceive persons with a disorder or anything like that. And also because I study psychology, I felt I have a bit more insight to the matter, and my own experiences with my mental health is an important part of it. I have learned so much these last years about myself and about what it is that makes me me, and how I should accept myself for the way I am, because I felt different my entire life. Like seriously, I have tried from the moment I started primary school till university to just be normal and fit the standard and measure up to what the world told me that, that was normal, and that's how I should be, or that's how I should look, or that's how I should act. And it's really conflicting, because my parents are from the Middle East, and I grew up in Holland. It's two completely different cultures, and that also was a big factor of trying to know myself and trying to teach myself to fit in these two worlds. But it was never okay, and it was never fine. Not to mention that my mental health was a really big problem. Let's say I wanted to do something that was normal in my culture, let's say in my parents' culture, and that was actually not normal in the Western culture, and vice versa. It's hard. But I feel that a lot of my peers, like a lot of of people of my own age, and maybe have parents that immigrate to other other countries, maybe feel the same way, because when I went back to Iraq, where I'm from, I felt like a person from Europe. And when I like when I'm here in Europe, especially with having a hijab on, I feel like I'm a person from the Middle East, and that sucks, because never you don't fit in with these two worlds. That's what the world tells you. Actually, you should pick, or completely be that, or completely be that, and there is no room for just being both of them. um, that's how I perceive things, at least. And I think that brought a lot of problems with it. I also discussed this with some of my friends, and I know that they feel kind of the same way about this. And I think that others do too. But, you know, like I said, I have my own mental illnesses, and in the Western world, it's more accepted than in my culture, my parents' culture. It's really hard to explain to people from like the Middle East, like why it is that I don't do stuff that other people maybe do. But that's all fine to me, because I'm not here to please anyone. I'm not here to live up to anyone's expectation but my own. And if you're religious, and you would understand that I would also want to live up to what God tells me that's good for me, and what's good for my situation and for the people around me. For me, it's important to be a good person, and not what and don't want I don't want to care about what other people perceive as to be as a good person. You can just easily be a good person with and being honest and open, then act like everything's okay. And it's important to me that I'm okay with me, and I learned not to care. Like I specifically say learned not to care about what other people think of me, because it have taken me so much time to learn that, I have to accept me for me, and it doesn't matter what other people think. Only people that are close to me are important to me. But still, the most close person to me is my mom, and my sister. But unfortunately, they had trouble understanding me too, especially when I was younger. But now they do understand me much more, because I understand myself. And the reason why I understand myself is because I looked for help, and I looked for a way to be, because the standards from the world really wouldn't work for me. A lot of systems, let's say school systems, let's say work ethic and work, how you have to work, that let's say your company says, or let's say the school says a student should be. These things really didn't work for me. And that was so hard, because I felt the need to live up to the expectation, and live up to the expectation of my parents and everyone else and everybody else. And I pushed myself so hard that I burned myself out. And the reason why I couldn't live up to these expectations, because I was born with a brain defect, and that caused a lot of problems. But at the time when I was younger, I really didn't know that it would have so much effect on me. And I still didn't know that, not until the last year or so, maybe even. But I went to look for help a few years ago, and they diagnosed me with ADD, with a sleeping disorder, and with dysthymia. I'm not going into details about the disorders I'm diagnosed with. I want to do that maybe in another video, if you guys want to hear about them. But for the main reason is it's just too much to put out there in one video. And I really wanted to talk about the importance of talking about yourself and your issues and opening up, and not being ashamed for who you are. Because for me, it was so hard not to feel ashamed. I would feel ashamed for just being me because I couldn't do some kind of sports, or I wasn't paying attention and the teacher asked me something, so I felt that I was stupid if I couldn't answer them. And I pushed myself to concentrate. I pushed myself to do all these things, but I couldn't do them. And I failed. And I tried and I failed and I tried and I failed. And I taught myself to see myself as a failure. My whole life, I thought I was a failure because I wasn't measuring up to, and I wasn't living up to anyone's expectation, and certainly not my own, because people can have expectations, and they can tell you, but at a certain point, at a certain age, just because you lived with these expectations, you are starting to create them in your mind. Even if the people don't expect this of you anymore, you still expect it of yourself. And I learned a lot about myself the last few years. I had help from therapists, from my friends, from my religion, from anywhere actually. And I could truly say now that I don't regret anything. I won't wish for anything to change. All the hardships I've been through just made me who I am and shaped me to the person I'm now. And I feel that if I didn't have all these hardships, I wouldn't understand life the way I do now. And I wouldn't be able to understand someone else with issues, and I wouldn't be able to help others, and I wouldn't be able to do the things that I love in the way that truly could change someone, or change a situation, or have an effect in a way that I would like. So it's really important to accept the things you've been through, and accept that these things truly make you better and truly make you stronger, and really makes me want to give back and help others in the way that I really missed in my own youth and in my own situation. So I told you a bit about my situation and about my issues. I haven't really gotten into detail. I'm planning to do that in another video. Like I said, it's just way too much to put out there in one video. I hope that my message comes across, and the taboo that lives in all of us, kind of, that people with mental illnesses or disorders, that they shouldn't be part of society, or they are crazy or anything like that, that's who they are, because a disorder or an illness doesn't shape you, doesn't make you the person you are. It's just something you have to live with. And I just want to show that I just want to show people that you can still have all these things and still be normal. And even when you look at me, you wouldn't know that all these things, you wouldn't know the things I've been through, because you can't see them. Only maybe a part of the part that my hands and a part of my body really doesn't work well, because of my defects, my brain defects. But other than that, I want to show people that if you have issues, if you have disorders, if you have illnesses, that it's fine and it's okay to talk about them, and you shouldn't be ashamed. You shouldn't be ashamed, and it only makes you better, it only makes you stronger, and it makes you unique, because having a disorder doesn't necessarily mean that you only have bad traits uh, or bad personality or anything like that. It can also make you a beautiful person. It can make you have abilities that others don't have. Because I told you I have ADD. It it's not only the bad symptoms, that define me. I also have like a really sharp focus, because when I focus on one thing, I can focus I just focus on one thing and I don't hear anything else if I truly focus on something I really love. So it makes me better and focus better and work better. In that way, it's also a blessing. Also, something like being creative. You're looking for solutions. Maybe other people wouldn't see these solutions because my brain works differently, and my brain isn't put in a box. It's like a chaos out there. My thoughts are everywhere, but that can affect me in a bad way, but it can also help me because I don't have a mind that is boxed. It's creative, and it makes me think creative, and it makes me think of solutions maybe other people wouldn't think of. So what I'm trying to say is not everything is bad, and not just because you have something to deal with in your life doesn't necessarily mean that it's the end of the world, or that it's such a huge problem that you can't deal with, and that negatively changes your life. It can also bring positivity to your life and gives you a place to be yourself. I talked a lot. I hope that you guys understood where I was coming from. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching, and that it would help someone out there. I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe you have some other perspectives or other things you want to talk about, or you just want to share. I really want to hear your thoughts on this subject. So I hope that some of you will benefit from what I said, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching.